All right, good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. Time is 6:30 p.m. We're in the second floor of Town Hall in the Eldon F. Ferrara Board of Selectmen meeting room. Before I ask anybody who can stand to stand for the pledge, I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded for use on the internet and our local cable station. Join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Super. All right, so we are going to make a very quick change to our agenda for the evening. The first item on the agenda, or on the revised agenda, is a vote to ratify temporary appointment of Allison Hatch as the interim COA director. Good evening, Allison. Does anybody have any questions or comments as it relates to this? David, if you want to.
Yeah, so thank you for being here. So yes, as we all know, Marilyn Mather, unfortunately, after 15 years of being the COA director, has retired from the COA effective on Friday. We are in the process, a screening committee has been named, and we are in the process of going through to hire a new director. And in the interim, we certainly need to have good leadership there. And Allison has done a very nice job as the assistant director. So I met with her last Thursday night and asked her if she would stay on as the interim director in the meantime, and she has agreed to do so. The clerical contract provides, because she's technically in the clerical union, it provides for a mechanism to allow someone to go up to the next level, and based on past practice as to what the additional compensation is. So that is the memo that I've provided to you. She has accepted the position, which has made all of us very happy, and she is here seeking your ratification.
So.
Wonderful. I appreciate you accepting the position, helping us out, so thank you. I know that Marilyn's departure was a little bit sooner than we expected, so we weren't entirely prepared, but thank you.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, thanks for stepping up. I know it's an awesome area over there, and I feel like it's one of those little places, like departments we don't have to worry about too much. And that's because of awesome leadership and everything you guys are doing down there, so keep it up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't know that much about it till I sat in the seat and learned. The more I learned, the more I realized just how important that organization is in town and just how much it does. So, and Maryland's showed a great roadmap over the last 15 years, and hopefully you've learned and keep it going.
Yep.
So.
I'm not rushing to get there age-wise, but I'd like to hang out there, so might just do that.
And just to be clear to the board, the appointment is good until a new director is in place.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to approve, I lost my spot. I apologize. I make the motion to ratify the temporary appointment of Allison Hatch as COA, interim COA director, until a permanent appointment is made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Allison.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Super.
here, too.
Now, like we said, you can stay for the rest, or you can go.
Riveting stuff.
Thank you.
So returning to the top of the agenda, for the last 2+ years, with the vote and support of Marcy and Mike, I have been chair, and that only happened. Traditionally, the chair has rotated. That only happened because we had some turnover in this. Selectman Kinahan left shortly after Selectman Reyes left. And while my experience was not very long, it was longer than both of you at the time. So I thank you for your support over the last couple of years. But it is time to get back into a rotation, which is traditionally what we've done here at the board. So having just gotten reelected, it happens every time somebody gets reelected to the board, we vote to reorganize. So with that in mind, I am going to make a motion that Mr. Perez serve as chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kidding. Aye. Absolutely. And then with that, I'll make another motion that Marcy serve as vice chair,
I'll second.
and I will support that as well with a yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Want to make a motion to appoint,
I will make a motion to appoint Jeff as clerk.
Super.
and I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Super.
Right.
So that takes place, not now, but that takes place after this meeting concludes.
And it just said, congratulations on the reelection.
Thank you.
I hear you won by a landslide.
Competition was tough. Yeah, so now we go on to signatories. I believe, is surgery usually go to the chair, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
So I'll make a recommendation, I'll make a motion that Mike is surgery chair, surgery signatory
Second?
as chair. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Road cut to the
Vice Chair.
vice chair. Super. I don't like that yellow piece of paper.
I put a stop to that yellow piece of paper, thank you.
So I'll make a motion that Marcy stays as road cut signatory.
I'll make a motion that Jeff move to parking clerk.
Okay,
Seconding both of those motions.
we'll
and-
approve both of those.
Sorry.
Aye.
Just
Nope.
trying to get to the long.
We're good.
Good.
All right, so we're gonna review and vote on the FY '27 budget for annual town meeting.
So thank you. You have spent January, February, March, and April hearing budget hearings from all department heads and from all other budgets in town. We started the process in December when the selectmen voted on a budget message to stay level funded year over year, and that was communicated as such. I've spent the last couple of weeks, we vetted the entire budget, we made some minor modifications to it. I'll go over those in a moment. My responsibility to you is to be able to put all those numbers together, present a balanced budget to you. You then take a vote for a Board of Selectmen approved budget, will be placed into the Finance Committee handbook, so that way town meeting can see what the Board of Selectmen voted on. Your budget will then go to the Finance Committee, which will meet tomorrow night, and the Finance Committee will then vote on their recommendation to town meeting. It is the Finance Committee's budget that is actually presented through the moderator as the motion at town meeting. But from a transparency standpoint, our Finance Committee book will show all department requests, the Board of Selectmen approval, and the Finance Committee recommendation. So today, I will be presenting this budget to you and asking you for your vote. I've balanced the budget. It assumes a 2.5% raise from FY '26's tax levy. The overall budget, including water, is up a little over 5%, 5.24% year over year, which in a whole dollar amount represents about 2.4 million. And for comparison's sake, last year's increase year over year was 2.1 million. So there's an increase from one over to the other. The major drivers in the budget, as you can see here, is local schools, the benefits department, primarily led by health insurance and retirement, the water department, fire and police. But I think that what is important for the general public to know, it is that 5 budgets, because you're gonna be requested to vote on a $49 million budget. 5 budgets make up 94% of that aggregate budget. When we exclude water, because remember, water is paid for through the water rates, it is not paid for through the taxation side. When you exclude water, the town side overall budget, all departments, both discretionary and non-discretionary, it has an increase of 4.76% year over year, or in 2.1 million, which means that on the town side, it is actually a decelerating growth, because last year's budget increase was 2.2 million. I have only made minor adjustments to the budget, which we'll go over in a minute, because I do put together an easy one-pager, so that way we can look at that. Additional notes is the Finance Committee Reserve Fund for emergency purposes is level funded year over year, which is at $67,000. We have not used it a lot, but we have also not increased it through the years. Additional note, town operating budget, which means that it excludes schools and it excludes non-discretionary, which is in this case debt, benefits, and insurance. That is up only 3.82% year over year, or $483,000 increase. And again, out of that increase, about 75 to 78% of that is just police and fire. That is the major drivers on that side. But I do think at 3.82%, that shows our department heads are coming in with extremely reasonable budgets. In reference to the school budgets, I want to note to you is that on April 6th, the school committee voted to reduce their department budget by $72,474, which was the proposed salary of adding a media specialist. You'll recall at the budget hearing that we had with them on March 18th, that was an area of concern. I would like to thank the school committee for taking that vote. They took the vote, they showed leadership recognizing that we just cannot be adding additional staff. And I want to thank the Board of Selectmen for taking that position as well, because I'm going to show a map in a moment as to really what my biggest overarching concern is. The local schools budget has increased 4.54% as a result of their change, which is the lowest year-over-year increase in percentage terms in the last 5 years. Further, the local school budget makes up 57 or 58% of the town's operating budget. Again, that's just operational budgets minus non-discretionary items. And then the southeastern budget actually decreased 8% year over year. This was actually very helpful. And the reason I highlight that is because their budget went down 90,000, which helped. But imagine if they had had just a similar increase, 4.5%. That means we would have had to come up with 140 grand. You know, the difference of the 90 plus the 4.5 over. So that was helpful this year. But please keep in mind that because of the new DESI regulations now that requires an open enrollment period, it is a wild card moving forward. So therefore, for anybody that questions our local school and our southeastern, because whenever you look at education, you look at all of it encompassing, on the operating budget side makes up 61%. If you were to include benefits and others, it would be over 70. But from an operational standpoint, it's 61%. In order to get there, I want to discuss revenue for a moment. When I put this report together last week, only the governor's budget was known. Since then, the House Ways and Means Committee has voted on their budget, but has not been approved by the full House yet. There's some minor tweaks, one a little good, one a little bad. To be honest with you, pathetic on the bad, which I'll disclose in a moment. But as of April 15th, our total increase in the state aid went up $143,000. That was $86,000 in Chapter 70 funds, which goes to the town, which is only a little over a 1% increase year over year. And on the local aid that goes directly to the town, the increase was 2.5%, but only 20 grand. Again, you had to talk a $49 million budget. $20,000 is not really much of assistance. In addition, which has been the growing trend over the last handful of years, is that the state charges has also increased. And our charges increased this year by $45,000. So when you take the increase of our receipts, of our aid, and you take the increase of the charges, is that our entire net increase is only $98,000. Recall on page 1 is that the town's operating budget increased by $2.2 million. That means you're only getting 100 grand from the state. 2.1 million has to come from us. That is not a partnership with the state. It may be at the state level, they attempt to keep on saying that they're in partnership. That's not a true partnership.
No, when they can't pace to even match inflation, state, local aid, they're not, it's a joke.
It's funny that you bring that because that's a really good point. There has been a push from MMA to relook at local receipts and some other areas of taxation as well. Without getting into the politics of that, there is one area of note that they mention that I think is extremely emblematic of this issue. Is that in 2007, the last fiscal year before the Great Recession occurred, is that state aid, in all encompassing, was $2.2 billion. This year, it will be under $2.2 billion. That is not matched to inflation. That is in whole dollars. So that is exactly what the issue is as to why towns are continuously getting squeezed. Further, the House budget, that House Ways and Means budget that just passed, did increase Chapter 70 funds by about another 50 grand. That's the positive. On that state aid that only went up 20, they reduced it by 14. So think about that the state aid only increased by $6,000 in whole dollars year over year. Again, that's not a true partnership. I have reached out to our state delegation. I have not heard back. The other part, besides the revenue from the state that makes up our ability to pay for the budget, is obviously taxes, but also receipts. So you'll see here on this screen is that I am always historically conservative in the way I estimate our receipts. Receipts are made up of a whole bunch of items, transfer station stickers. The bulk of it is excise tax, which we'll go over in a minute, building permits, all other fees that the town collects. You'll see a handful of years ago, we were collecting between 3 to 3.5 million. The last couple of years it jumped, specifically FY25, and I have retained a $3.5 million estimate. Granted, that's vastly low from last year, but it's actually closer to historical norms. And the reason for that is that as we go next, you will see that FY25 increase was drastically increased, one, by excise tax. It's $500,000 more than the historical norm. So unless people continuously buy car, thank you to one of you who recently did, actually two of you recently did, thank you very much. If there is not a growing trend in people buying or purchasing newer vehicles, that will obviously lower over time. So I have to be careful. I don't know if FY25 is going to become the new norm or if that was an anomaly here. Penalty and interest charges. This is the people who owe us fees and don't pay. Look at the huge amount that we received in FY25 in comparison to previous years. That's $300,000. It's a 100% increase. I have no idea why that happened. I can't count on that. I think it would be foolish and not prudent of us to think that that would be a continuing trend. And the same thing on the interest income. This is our second year in a row that we received over $7,000, but it was only 3 prior fiscal years that we only received 21 grand for the entire year. You know, that's a humongous jump. And we know that this month there will be a new Fed chair that will be most likely confirmed by the Senate, and his goal and his whole mission is to lower interest rates. So as interest rates get lowered, that's really good if you're trying to refinance a house or you're trying to buy a car. But whenever somebody has money in the bank, obviously it has an adverse impact, which will most likely impact us. So again, I can't continue to count on and budget thinking we're going to receive that amount of money in interest. So to sum up, the FY27 budget is trending a little bit lower in whole dollars year over year, and that's the positive. However, with a tax levy of around $30 million, so out of $49 million, $30 million of it is going to be paid by the tax side, local taxpayer. So under Proposition 2.5, just do simple math. $30 million times 2.5% is $750 grand. If you have a $2.2 million increase year over year, and you only have $750,000 coming from taxes, and you only have $100,000 coming from the state, and our receipts are going to be fairly flat year over year, the only way to make up that difference is to be able to transfer free cash. Free cash is not free. It is money that was generated from the previous year that we didn't expect. We had more growth that came in that was primarily driven this past year by the warehouse that came in on Lincoln Street. And that's not going to be a year over year benefit. So as a result of that, we did generate over $4 million of free cash. And since I have been here, we have always transferred $350,000 off the top to offset the middle senior high school debt. And that means over that period of time, the taxpayer has saved $4.6 million to date. So we'll continue to do that this year. That generates a $1.7 million hole, or upside down, is what we would be. And so I am transferring that amount of money from free cash, and we're fortunate that we have it this year. But in years going forward, that's not always a guarantee. The benefit is we have it, we can balance. In future years, if it's not there, we'll have some structural issues. Last thoughts. The reality is that we have to look at structural problems in this state that is outside of West Bridgewater. State aid clearly is slowing, although their budget is still going to be up over almost 5% this year. We know federal grants are going to continue to stagnate. The school is facing pressures through sped costs. Those are going to have to be addressed at the state level. There's been a redefinition of sped over the past 20 years. What has always been a good intent is continuing to drive more and more pressures on the school as they do their earnest attempt to be able to handle those costs. Obviously, healthcare and just general inflationary pressures, municipalities are feeling that pinch because we are limited as to what we can do to generate revenue at the local level under Proposition 2.5. I am always more focused on the cost side because I don't want to focus on the tax side. But this map illustrates to you in fiscal years 2024 to 2026 how many municipalities have been forced to go for an operational override. This is not debt exclusion. This is not borrowing money to build a building. This is saying we can't pay for police or fire or schools, and we have to go above 2.5% to go for an override. It is 1/3 of the state. If that should scream to someone that the business model is broken. So I asked, Christine did a nice job working with Deb Taylor, our GIS lady. I provide the data and understand FY24 to FY26, we are currently in FY26. It hasn't closed yet. That means these numbers may increase by the end. But 124 override votes actually passed in 65 communities, and 94 have failed. But there's 351 communities. So 1/3 of the entire state is saying there's a problem and we need more money. For the ones that passed it, great. For the ones that didn't, they've had to make cuts, including layoffs. And you can see where West Bridgewater is that we are completely surrounded by towns over the last couple of years that not only have gone from, they have failed, and they have laid off. And we're making every attempt not to have to do that. So that is the budget. This page right here, what I've done is I have made my singular adjustments to these budgets. They total a difference of $76,000. Please know one thing is that on all the town budgets that answer directly to the Board of Selectmen, that therefore those department heads answer to me, I meet with them at the beginning of the budget season. So no silly requests come in. So when we look and say, geez, why can't we cut this budget big? Most of them are coming in 3 to 4%. And that's just by design. They're not coming in saying, I want to hire 4 people, because they're told up front that they can't. So there's not a lot of large adjustments there. The one adjustment that is not been made was there was a discussion about the water department as to whether or not we're going to continue to have funding in case we need transitional assistance. I spoke to the chair today. He would like to keep it in there, so that adjustment has not been made. So the budget that I turned into you shows a difference of $76,000 net difference by all the budget presentations that you received. This page here, just to make life really easy, is that I provide all the budgets into one page, so you could see exactly what the dollar amounts are and what departments they came out of.
Couple quick comments on my side. First, I want to thank the school, reiterate your thank you to the school. The small group of us sat down, and David, you went in more detail than now, but just budget, future, where we are, where we're going. And I want to thank them for listening and understanding and making that cut. So thank you to the school committee, Mr. Bodwell, Ms. Grant, for their attention and thoughts through this process. Second, David, I want to thank you. The conservative approach. There's a town south of us, not very far south of us. It seems like their town manager was not very conservative in his estimations, and I don't think he's alone when you look at all the red on the on this map, or just overrides on the map. But that approach has kept us, at least through this year, from heading towards an override. Fundamentally, taking $1.7 million out of, I hate the words free cash, but I'll use them because that's what it is, to balance the operating budget, is, you said structurally something, but it's just, it's not sustainable. It's not guaranteed money. And I think we're approaching putting ourselves on this map if we don't continue to look for ways to cut and trim. There's no guarantee that we'll have that much money next year. And that money is now basically part of the operating budget. So, not that I'm not in favor of this budget right now, but I think we've driven ourselves very close to the edge of a cliff. And there's a fair chance we start sliding down it next year. So I think we need to do what we need to do for this budget. And then I think we need an even more aggressive, conservative approach to spending, hiring, and everything else as we come into next year. And we can set that message after town meeting and see what they think. But that 1.7 coming out of free cash, there's no guarantee that's there next year. And we need to be as conservative as we can be. Took this role to do a lot of things, but laying off people isn't one of them. So I'd like to see what we can do to prevent that in the future. And that probably means getting tighter and tighter with the belt.
I echo a lot of what you just said, and I've asked David to kind of help me get in front of, because the school budget is not sustainable long term. Over the next 10 years, there is no way that we are going to be able to sustain with that increase consistently. And I think something needs to get done at either a state level or a county level and readdress some of these concerns. So with the help of David, I'm trying to get in front of, I'm trying to push for a new idea, a new board to just kind of put things together that's going to, whether it's by counties, the way it's done in other states, just to, because every town around us is feeling the same burden. And if we can come up with a better plan, if we could work together with a better plan, whether it be an advisory board, to kind of trim like the redundancies. There are so many redundancies within the schools that in other states, some of those things are just done by one department. And here we have, in Plymouth County, what do we have, 19 towns? I forget, I just lost my train of thought. We have 19 different towns in Plymouth County, so there's 19 of every single piece of it. Where if we get a different umbrella, I think that there's another approach to this, and I'd like to see if, the county, we could start there, or just put a board together to kind of just see if it works, right? See if something different could work, do an analysis. That's what I got with it. I think we need to look outside and not just, I'd love to just see if we could take care of this problem in town, but I think it's going to be impossible because the schools are mandated by the state, who continues to give them all this extra thing, all these extra things they have to do, and those things cost money. And I think in the long term, we're just going to continue to go up this ladder, and honestly, we've lost control. The control of what our budget has lost control, in my opinion. The state needs to step in and do something, or we could do something as a county.
Yeah.
I completely agree, and I piggyback actually thanking the school committee for having that meeting and that
100.
discussion. Because, understanding the need, understanding that we have to rein it in. So I appreciate that, and of course, thank you to David every year for doing what he does. I know that a lot of time is spent trying and struggling to balance the budget and meet everybody's needs and try to do what is in the best interest of all of the residents and the town as a whole. So thank you, David, and thank you to the school committee and Kathy and Mr. Bodwell, because it's much appreciated.
So at this point, is there any other questions specific to?
Anybody, any questions to the budget, any changes to that anybody feels needed? Because the next thing we're gonna do is vote on that number, the 49,164,355.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the FY27 budget at $49,164,355.
I will second, but I'm gonna recuse myself from the selectmen's budget and then also the benefits budget, and then I will vote in favor.
Mike?
Aye.
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 All in favor, that was your part.
So thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, there's actually 4 votes that are gonna take place off of letter D, if you will. The first vote we're gonna do is a vote on the recommendations, a vote on approving the motions. a vote on our recommendations for the motions, and then a final vote on assigning readers. So with that in mind, we have a whole, we have basically the warrant articles for town meeting. We've had these presented to us for the last 2 meetings, so I don't feel the need to read them or go through them, unless anybody has so I guess first I'm asking, is there any objection to any article that is being presented for the warrant?
None.
All right, so hearing none, I'd make a motion that, I wanna make sure I get this motion right, David. Just that we vote to recommend that all the articles as presented will be placed on the warrant for town meeting.
It's not a recommendation, you're actually doing, so yes, so
Okay.
I would, your motion is to vote to place all warrant articles presented to you on the warrant.
I'll second that. That's my motion. Go
I'll second it.
Aye.
ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
He's
Very
broken
good.
today.
Last one, last one. All right,
Just make it through one last
Yep.
meeting.
next to be a vote to approve the motions.
That's correct. And so in essence, when you're approving the motions, what you're really doing is that you're approving the source of funds and the dollar amounts that would be read. That doesn't mean that you're in favor of it, because we're gonna take a next vote on your recommendations. But this is to vote that as a source of funds, so for example.
Can you
if
go to
could-
page 11, Christine?
Yep, good.
Oh, 11 in the packet, I'm sorry. Or in my packet.
Right here, this is great.
Yeah.
So this here is a one-page condensed version that I also place into the FinCom book as well. But you'll see, for example, is, Article 10 is going to be for OPEB for treasurer, that's $100,000, we do that every single year, and that will come out of free cash. That's just one example. So when you approve the motions, you are approving the source of funds for all of these articles, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
So. Any comments?
None.
None.
None. All right, so at this point, I'll make a motion to approve all the articles with the funding sources as listed and presented.
Motions.
Motions?
Yeah, you're approving all the motions.
All the motions, I'm sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job.
Thank you.
Now you'll be voting on your recommendations.
So with the 29 articles, nice low number, by the way. On the 29 articles, are there any objections? Does anybody have any objections? to the article?
No, sir.
All right. I know I said I was going to object to one, but I am not. I'm gonna put my pettiness away, because I think that's what it is, and pass on that one. So, with that, I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen, approve all articles, or make a motion that we vote to approve all articles, as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So all articles pass unanimously.
No, thank you. So then what we'll do is we'll go back to what we thought was page 11.
Which is 12, I think.
The first
So-
page 11.
So on number 1, number 2, those are consent articles. They are usually read by the Board of Selectmen. So right now, I'm gonna recommend the readers.
Yep.
And then you can make any adjustments to those that you prefer, and then at the very end, take a vote to assign those readers. So on number 1 and number 2, that is historically read by the Board of Selectmen, and that usually is the chair. So in this case, that would be Mike, because you will be chair effective for town meeting. The next one is to set the salaries of elected officials. That would be vice chair, that would be Marcy. FinCom is going to do the omni budget. Board of Assessors will do 5. 6 will be DPW for chapter 90. 7, 8, and 9 are all CPC, so that will come from the CPC, which is usually Show Cambria. 10 is the treasurer for OPEB. 11 is police for Web Task Force. 12 and 13 are both DPW. 14 is the start of your capital budget items, so 14 would be DPW as well. 15 would be IT for the phone replacement. 16, 17, and 18 would be the fire chief for the fire department. 19 and 20 would be the police chief for the police department. 21 is for the building vehicle it would be the building commissioner. Number 22, 23, and 24 are capital budget items from the school. That is usually the chair of the school committee. 26 and 27 would be the planning board. Those are both zoning, so therefore it usually is the chair of the planning board. Number 28, which is the Board of Selectmen Special Act to merge water and DPW, I believe it would be Jeff. And then on the bottom, there is one capital budget item from the water department, Article 25. That would be normally the chair of the water department.
Any comments, any objections to what you're reading?
Nope.
Anybody? All right, so make a motion to approve the readers.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I do have a lot of energy for that water department one.
If you wanna,
No, it's good.
I don't,
We could all speak.
okay, I'm with you, by the way.
I know. I'm with you too.
I'm just here.
All right, so I do believe that concludes, letter D, if you will.
Yep, thank you.
So at this point, I'll make a motion to, sign the annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Super. All right, next up, let Christine catch up. So next up, we have, secondhand license renewals. I'm gonna make a motion that, we approve these secondhand, license renewals with the stipulations, subject listed there, which is final inspection, submission of any outstanding application materials, and collection of license fees.
Second.
Third.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
I hope the new chair can figure that second thing out better than I have.
Can't wait.
All right, next, a vote to approve the one-day entertainment license for the WBYA Field Day on May 2nd, 2026. I'd also like to add to this that, and make a recommendation with this, that we waive the fee as they are a nonprofit in town.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, sir?
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next is a vote to approve the one-day liquor license for Old Colony Brewing for Field Day on May 2nd, 2026. There are, I have no objections, there are a lot of notes from the police chief as far as detail required, designated area. Alcohol can't leave designated area, an area must be clearly marked with barriers and signage. So those are the stipulations, in addition to our alcohol policy in whole, and the many pages of material that comes with it, so. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to vote to approve the one-day liquor license for Old Colony Brewing for Field Day, May 2nd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, discussion update, site plan review, special permit, ZBA 591 Walnut Street. This is for it's got a very fancy name there, but it's for a solar field.
I wanna hear you say it, though.
Yeah, and that's why
Sound
I
it
just
out.
did. It said solar field. When you pronounce it out, it comes out solar field. The electrician in the back row might be able to do better than that, but we will, that is my definition. So I attended, and Marcy, I believe you were there as well, the ZBA meeting on this. There was also a small piece of it last night. I attended it at Conservation. My takeaway from the ZBA meeting was that the parties involved were not ready to present meaningful materials to the ZBA, both in terms of what they presented. What they currently had was lacking a lot of necessary information. Last night's Conservation was just about the wetland delineation and where that was marked, and that was agreed to. In listening to both committees, I can't find anything positive to say about this. The state seems pretty hot on it, as it borders some of the forest, and there's a lot of concern for wildlife. And not that wildlife is the second concern. Also the way it borders and abuts some of our townspeople, both ours and Brockton's, on Samuel Ave. It seems to be very close and very obtrusive. Their plans didn't have a road, some plans had a road, so I think my technical term for it seems to be a bit of a mess right now. But not a mess, not in the favor of the developer. at this time. So I think there's some major hurdles from what I've seen, based on what I've seen in that one presentation. My stance right now would be a no, based on the impact, number one, to our taxpayers and residents, number two, on the wildlife in the area, and number three, on just the lack of preparation that they originally came in with. That can change. I plan on monitoring this. Find it very interesting. But, you know, my quick take on something like this is these panels probably should be 10, 15 feet off the ground to not interfere with the wildlife within it, which they probably would just by being there, but at least the passage of wildlife. And that doesn't seem to be the case with fencing and everything else around them, and questions on maintenance. There's just a million things that would need to be ironed out.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of them not necessarily going in the developer's favor, so probably too early to have a true opinion. But based on the first meeting, I am not impressed with the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, I had some concerns also about the wildlife, but also about the compliance with the bylaw and the details in that. I know that they are trying to put in about 4 more acres than the bylaw permits, I believe. That concerns me, obviously, because we have the bylaw in place for a reason. So, you know, I will be paying attention to this just to see what the ZBA does, whether or not that's something they, you know, provide a waiver for, or how this goes forward. I know that some of the residents, there were quite a few residents that showed up for the ZBA meeting. They were very passionate about not being in favor of this project and the impact that it would have on their lives and their homes. But just, you know, with you, Jeff, I think we need quite a bit more information. They didn't seem like they were wholly prepared. And so I preliminarily, I feel like I would be not in favor of this, but I think we're just basically are we just providing comments today, David,
Yep.
or?
Right now, you can provide comments today if you would like.
Okay.
Since the conservation is still gonna go through their review and then has to go back before the ZBA, we can always place it on the agenda again as it gets closer. And that way, as you collect more information, if you wanna update those comments, then that obviously we'll provide them on behalf of the board to the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah, well, then I'd hold off until we got some more information then.
Yeah, that's fine. But from an informal perspective to the neighbors and the residents that were there, I'm with you. So. All right, next site plan, special permit ZBA, 194 South Main Street, warehouse facility.
So this here is an existing building. If you're looking at Yangtze, the old Chinese restaurant, excuse me, immediately to its right, if you're looking at it from the road, there was an old furniture store that was there. They have not been in business for probably about 10 years, maybe a little longer. The building has been condemned by the building department. There are some safety issues, and there is also some mold that is in the building as well. So as a result, the building has been condemned and is not occupied. The new owner is looking to turn it into a multi-use facility, and they would tear down the whole building, which, to be honest with you, the building department is in favor of seeing because of the condition of that building. So it would be a positive to the town. In its place is that it would be looking to add a warehouse facility with retail, so it'd be a mixed use. 2/3 of it would be retail and 1/3 of it would be warehouse. I don't know the exact specifics breakdown. However, I will say it's, the existing building is 19,000 square feet. The footprint of the new building would be about 9,800 square feet on one floor and about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet on the second floor. How that breaks down, I'm not exactly sure. Warehouse is not allowed in our business, general farming, or general residential district. And as a result, what they are looking to do is that the applicant is attempting to say that it was a non-conforming pre-existing use and therefore get grandfathered in. However, because it has been out of business for more than 2 years, that use is no longer applicable. So they have to receive a special permit from the ZBA to allow the use, and that's a variance for the use. And then in addition to that, they would then go through their site plan. So that's what's before you now.
I have something. I mean, although I'm not completely in love with more warehouses in town, especially there, it is a pretty unsightly building at the moment. And I think that any improvement to this building is gonna help aesthetically improve, that strip and it's very unsightly. Every time I pass it, I'm like, what could this be? Cause it's just, it's an eyesore, right? And I am for some improvement. I'm for improvement. And as I look at the overhead, I don't know if we could bring that up on overhead and like kind of do like a visual of what's currently there now. I put it up on my screen, but it's unsightly.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that I don't like driving around town and seeing empty buildings or, you know, condemned buildings. And so I'd rather see, you know, a business go in there, and be productive and, you know, contribute to the town and give back and be a resource for the residents. So, I'm always in favor of
Sorry, Christine.
doing that.
Shows it as a church, doesn't it?
It's the old wicker,
Correct.
Yeah,
building. I don't know the correct name, but there was all wicker furniture up front.
yep.
That is correct.
And that is a better picture than what it currently looks like.
That's not it.
No,
Yeah, that's not it.
that's further down.
Yeah.
Where's the ANZ? It's the easiest.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
taking
further
ANZ.
south.
Yep, down.
Going towards Bridgewater. There's the AC. Is it next door to it?
It is. It's
Yes.
immediately adjacent to it. Yep, there you go.
It's a
Just
big-
driving
There
down.
it is, the blue doors.
Yeah, where it says Eco View. That's the building.
What's that one?
Yeah, so I mean, there's no houses right next to it. You know, it was existing as a business. I'm like, let's tear the thing down, please.
If you're gonna
That's
put up
sort of
something
my-
that looks nicer, absolutely.
Right, so is it fair to say that the comments to the zoning board of appeals is that generally you're in favor of the project?
Yes.
That was a long-winded way of saying it, but yes.
As long as they jump through the hoops they need to jump through.
Getting ready to be chair.
I had to get my practice in for my long
Is that how it
speeches.
goes?
I'm just gonna be sitting there going like this.
Then
All right. Next is approve the meeting minutes of March 18th. Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 18th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Accept the meeting minutes of April 1st, 2026 for review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, approve make a motion to approve the capital budget meeting minutes of March 26th for review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Communications from boards, commissions, and town officials, we have none. Correspondence from the public, we have none. Public comment period, we have a member of the public and planning board in our attendance.
Can I ask a question about the budget? When we go back to the Lincoln Street building coming on, that's actually directed at David. You say that that tax rate won't be set every year. Can you explain how the tax structure works on that site, going year to year?
You mean how it gets built into the base?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this past year, we had a little over $1 million of growth. So what that means is that you set a levy of, say, $28 million. That did not include the warehouse. So then when that property gets assessed a tax rate, and it turns out that it would have added $1 million to the levy, that 28 million becomes 29 million. And then the 2.5% gets raised on top of that. So this past year, a lot of that free cash was generated partly because we brought in revenue that we didn't expect. But next year, that obviously is gonna be built into the base.
Built in the base budget. Okay, so that's why you're saying we can't count on that every year, because we're just gonna be building on what's already increasing with that budget.
That is correct.
Yeah, so this year's increases become next year's base, right?
Yeah.
So,
Great question.
town administrators report.
Thank you. So I'll obviously move to B.
Yep.
So on Wednesday, April 8th, I received an email from Senator Driscoll. He told me that he was filing amendments to the environmental bond bill, but I only had 48 hours to be able to submit something. So I met with the Conservation Commission, conservation agent, and we have a fish ladder that we've been trying to desperately build over the last handful of years. The herring actually start in the Atlantic Ocean, come up the Taunton River, go through Lake Nip, through the Town River, spawn, and then make their way back. And West Bridgewater is the last area that the herring is unable to cross. You may remember a couple of years ago that per state regulations, the High Dam in Bridgewater was decommissioned. And this was all part of that process to make sure that the herring was able to go through their traditional migration period. They cannot, during low waters, they cannot make it up the Town River through War Memorial Park, and therefore requires a fish ladder. It is a top priority from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. And so between CPC funds a handful of years ago and some grants that we received, we are in the process of spending about $350,000 on engineering for it. However, the actual cost to build it is gonna be about $1 million. Obviously, we don't have $1 million. So I filed that request with Senator Driscoll, along with the information that substantiate the fact that this is a top priority from a state agency, thinking that that might provide additional assistance in the lobbying efforts. So I just wanted to provide an FYI to the board. You'll also recall a handful of years ago, we entered into litigation pertaining to PFAS. Two of the defendants, Tyco and BASF, that reached national settlements. Those checks have been received by the town. The one for Tyco is in the amount of $106,000, and the amount for BASF is in the amount of $44,000. That money will be closed to the general fund at a later date, and it will fall to what we call free cash, which would then be appropriated at a later date after that. We've placed a flyer here to let you and to let the general public know that our first meeting house, which was the First Church, that they are now celebrating their 375th anniversary this weekend. You can see before you the agenda of events that will be occurring this weekend. So again, we ask anybody and everybody that would like to attend to please do so. And at the same time, there is a proclamation that is before the board that I would ask you to approve and to sign.
All right, so make a motion to approve the proclamation for the first, and sign for the First Church.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and we will drop that off this week on behalf of the board.
Yep.
Last two is in reference to a 5K road race, the Crush Cancer Race that occurs every year, and also Spring Fest through the Lions Department that happens adjacent to the library every single year as well. You could see their respective dates. A couple of quick FYIs. Your next meeting will be on May 6th. Town meeting will then be the following Monday on May 11th. And at this point, your May 20th meeting has been canceled. So unless there is a special meeting called, your next meeting after that will be in June.
Super.
I have something.
Denied.
This is part of the frustrations that I see with the state. You made a comment about the herring run being a high priority for a state requirement from a state agency, yet they're not providing any funding. And I mean, there's so many frustrations with that.
That's how the state operates.
It's just,
Welcome to
you must, but it's like, hey, where's the funding? You know, there's a lot of requirements, and this is the stuff that needs to get figured out. Because,
We need you to run
Well,
for governor now.
I mean, I
This
love
is,
fish.
I mean, I get it.
I love
This
fish. I
isn't-
love fishing, but geez.
This is a state pushing, this isn't actually a mandate.
Yeah.
And maybe the state comes through with the money. I think there are a lot of examples for that, PFAS, et cetera, that have truly cost the town. This one isn't costing the town. If anything, we can maybe get away with it. But to your point, state does a great job of all that other stuff, and I wish that more effort went into just matching local aid with inflation, so.
That's correct.
That being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Watch this. Adjourn.